Hello and welcome to this exploring session looking at more plays from the York cycle. We're past the halfway mark. We're now rapidly heading towards the end of the sequence. At a rate of knots. We're certainly coming towards the end of the Passion, or the climax of the Passion today. So warnings ahead as we look at plays 33, 34 and 35. Things are going to get increasingly violent and increasing risk of instances of really problematic anti-Semitism and other elements like that. Yes, as I say, we're heading, not only are we concluding the trial of Jesus, we're also going on the road to Calvery, and also we have the very well-known Crucifixion play. So it's a relatively small room. It's bigger than it looks, as at least one of the room is audio only for today, but it doesn't mean that we're not all here. So speaking off-screen, as it were, reading Annas, Mary, and Third Mary, and Fourth Soldier towards the end of the session is...
Hello, I'm Sarah Blake, and today I shall be your disconcerting disembodied voice.
Reading Caiaphas, Second Mary, Simon, and Jesus at the end of the sequence is...
Hello, I'm Helen Good, I'm a historian, and I'm in Hull.
Reading Preco, Third Soldier, Jesus in the first two plays that we're looking at, and Barabas is...
Hi, I'm Eric, and I will try to be thrilled about carpentry.
Yes, Barabas or Barabas, depending on how you want to. The other pronunciations are available. Reading Second Soldier, and also the exciting part of Sixth Soldier is...
Hi, Alan Scott, based in Suffolk.
Reading Pilate and John is...
Hi, my name's Elizabeth Amisu, and I'm an author based in Romford.
Reading First Soldier, and the even more edifyingly exciting Fifth Soldier is...
Hi, I'm Lynn Freitas. I'm a teacher. I live in the northwestern United States.
And I'm your host, Robert Crighton. I'm going to be reading Fourth Soldier in the first couple of plays as and when he appears, but I'll be passing over to Sarah for the final play. As I say, without further ado, we're going to be diving in a moment into Christ's second trial, his second appearance before Pilate. And we're going to find out what the final verdict is for him. This play formally is down as being produced by the Tile Makers Guild. It's a bit misleading that this play underwent quite an interesting history that we might dip into at the end of reading the play. The Tile Makers Guild might be said at the time this pageant is being written down in this particular register, is being sort of the overarching guild in charge of it. Other hands are involved in this one. It's quite a complicated one, and it's quite interesting, but not relevant to this stage of our process. So we're going to just dive into the play. We're going to read it maybe all the way through. I might pause midway. We'll see. There are occasional turnarounds. I would say I'll be reading stage directions, but there are almost no stage directions whatsoever. So we're just going to dive into the text and infer the action as we go. As Pilate has brought before him Jesus, we're going to have Annas and Caiaphas coming in, and lots of soldiers. This is very soldier heavy. So without further ado, play 33 and Pilate, please.
Lordings that are limet to the lair of my Leon, ye shapely shawks and sheen for to shore, I charge you as your chieftain that ye chat for no chance, but look to your lord here and leer at my law. As a duke I may damn you and draw, many bairns bold are about me, and what knight or knave I may gnaw, that list naught as a lord for to lout me. I shall leer him in the devil's name, that dastard, to doubt me. Yea, who works any works without me, I shall charge him in chains to cheer him. Therefore, ye lusty leads, within this length lapped, do stint of your stalking, and of stoutness be stallioned. What traitors his tongue with tales has trapped, that fiend for his flattering full foul shall be falloned. What brawl over bracely is bralland, or unsoftly will siege in their sails, that caitiff thus carpened and callaned, as a boy shall be brought unto bales. Therefore talks not, nor treat not of tales, for that gome that gurns or gales, I myself shall him hurt full sore.
Ye shall sit him full sore. What sage will essay you? If he like not your lordship, that lad, shall ye lear him as a peerless prince full priestly to pay you? Or as a dear-worth duke with dints shall ye dear him?
Yeah, in faith, ye are forced for to fear him. Through your manhood and might be's he marred. No chivalrous chieftain may cheer him, for that churl with charge ye have charred. And here there is a line missing. In pinning pain be's he parred.
And with scath of scalps ill scarred, for a time that your teen he have tasted.
Now, certes, as meseems, who so sadly has sought you? Your praising is profitable, ye prelates of peace. Gramercy, your good word, and ungained shall it naught you, that ye will say these sooth, for no siege cause, siege cease.
Else were it pity we appeared in this priest, but conceive how your knights e'er command.
Yea, my lord, that leave ye no lease. I can tell you, you tied some tidehans full sad.
See, they bring yon brawl in the band. We shall hear now, hastily at hand, what unhap before Herod he had.
Hail, a loveliest lord that ever law led yet. Yea, hail, seemliest under silk, on ever ilka side. Hail, stateliest on stead in strength that is stead yet. Hey, liberal, hail, lusty, to lords allied.
Welcome. What tidings this tide? Let no language lightly now let you.
Sir Herod, sir, it is naught to hide, as his good friend Grathly he greets you, forever, in what manner that ever he meets you. By himself full soon he will he set you, and say ye shall not dissever.
I thank him full frailly, and sir, I say him the same. But what marvellous matters did this Mirren there mell?
For all the Lord's language his lips, sir, were lame. For any springs in that space no speech would he spell. But doom as a door gone he dwell, thus no fault in him gone he find, for his deeds to deem him to quell, nor in bands him bravely to bind. And thus he sent him to yourself, and to send that we, your knights, should be cleanly inclined, and tight with him to you to trust.
Sirs, hearkens, hear ye not what we have upon hand? Lo, how their knights carp that note that to the king cared. Sir Herod, they say, no fault in me found. He fessed me to his friendship, so friendly he fared. Moreover, sirs, he spake and naught spared. Full gently to Jesu, this Jew, and sithen to their knights declared, how faults in him found he but few, to die. He taste him, I tell you for true, for to dear him he deemed undue. And sirs, these soothly say I.
Sir Pilate, our prince, we prelates now pray you, since Herod frasted no further this fater to flay, receive in your shall their sores that I say you, and bring him to bar at his beard shall we bay.
Yea, for and he wend thus by whiles away, I wot well his work will us wonder. Many he mars, that he may, with his sayings, he sets them in sunder with sin. With his blur he breeds mickle blunder. Whiles you have him, now holds him under. We shall werry him away, if he win.
Sir, no time is to tarry this traitor to taste. Again, Sir Caesar himself, he says and says, all the whites in this world works in waste, and takes him any tribute, thus his teaching outraise. Yet further he feigns silk a phrase, and says that himself is God's son. And sir, our law legs and lays, in what fate of false is fond, should be slain.
For no shame him to shend will be shone.
Sir, witness of this wains may be one that will tell this withouten any train.
I can reckon a rabble of ranks full right, of pert men in prees from this place ere I pass, that will witness, I warrant, the words of this wight, how wickedly wrought that this wretch has. Simon, Jairus, and Judas, Datan and Gamaliel, Neptalim, Levi, and Lucas, and Amos, this matter can mell together. Their tales for true can they tell of this fator that falses and fell, and in legging of laws full lither.
Yea, to such, for your tales they touch not and taunt. Their witness I warrant that to witness ye wage, some hatred in their hearts against him have hent, and purpose be this process to put down this page.
Sir, in faith as falleth not to phage, they are tryst men and true, that we tell you.
Your swearing, Ceres, swiftly ye swage, and no more in this matter ye mell you, I charge.
Sir, despise not this speech that we spell you.
If ye feigns like frauds, I shall fell you. For me likes naught your language so large.
Our language is too large, but your lordship relieve us. Yet we both bespake you, beseech you, let bring him to bar. What points that we put forth, let your presence approve us. Ye shall hear how this harlot helds out of here.
Yea, but be wise, witty, and war.
Yes, sir, dread you not, for nothing we doubt him.
Fetch him, he is naught right far. Do, Bedell, bust thee about him.
I'm fain, my lord, for to let him or lout him, uncleth him, clap him, and clout him. If ye bid me, I'm buxom and bane. Knights, you're commanded with this caitiff to care and bring him to bar, and so my lord bade.
Is that thy message?
Yeah, sir.
Then move thee no more, for we are light for to leap and lead forth this lad.
Do step forth in strife, earth thou stad. I uphold full evil hath thee happed.
Oh, man, thy mind is full mad in our cloaks to be clouted and clapped and closed.
Thou beast lashed, lushed, and lapped.
Yea, routed, rushed, and wrapped. Thus thy name with noise shall be noised.
Lo, this sage here, my sovereign, that ye foresent.
Well, stir naught fro that steed, but stand still there. But he shapes some shrewdness, with shame bees he shent, and I will phrase, in faith, to frain of his fare.
We outstand, may I naught, so I stare.
Yea, harrow of this traitor with teen.
Say, ranks, what ruth gars you rare? Ye wood or witless, I ween? What ails you?
Out, silker sight should be seen.
Yea, alas, conquered are we clean.
We, ere ye fond, or your force fails you?
Ah, sir, sought ye not this sight? Oh, that their shafts shook, and these banners to this brothel, they bowed all on breed.
Yea, their cursed knights by craft let them crook to worship this wallow unworthy in weed.
Was it duly done thus indeed?
Yeah, sir, ourself we saw it.
We spit on them, ill mot they speed. Say, dastards, the devil mote you draw. How dare ye their banners on breed, that their blaw? Let lout to this lurden so law. O faitors, with falsehood, how fare ye?
We beseech you and those seniors, sir, beside you sit. with none of our governance to be grievous and grill. For a delay not in our lot, their lances to let, and this work that we have wrought, it was not our will.
Thou lies, Harstow Lurden, full ill. Well, thou what if thou witness it would?
Sir, our strength might not stable them still. They hilded for aught we could hold, our unwitting.
For all our force in faith they would fold as this warlow worship they would, and thus it seemed forsooth it unfitting.
Ah, unfriendly Freitas, full false is your fable. This seg with his subtlety to his seat hath you seized.
Ye may say what you seem, sir, but their standards to stable. What freak him enforces full foul shall he be fest?
By the devil's nose, ye are doggedly diseased. Ah, hen-heart, they'll hap what you hent.
For a what so he whined and wheezed, and yet no lash to the Lurden was lent. Foul fall you.
Sir, I wish no whiles we have went.
Shamefully you sat to be shent. Here cumbered caitiffs, I call you.
Since you likes not, my lord, our language to leave, let bring the biggest man that abides in this land, properly in your presence, their posty to preve. Behold that they held not, fro they have them in hand.
Now, ye are furdest that ever I found. Fie on your faint hearts in fear. Stir thee, no longer thou stand. Thou, bedell, this bodward thou bear through this town, the whitest men unto were, and the strangest their standards to star. Hider blithely bid them be bound.
My sovereign full soon shall be served your soul. I shall bring to their banners right big man and strange. A company of kevils in this country, I know, that greater grill to the gomes will I gang. Say, ye leads both lusty and long, you most apart to Sir Pilate pace.
If we work not his will, it were wrong. We were ready to run on a race and rake.
Then tarry not, but trine on a trace and follow me fast to his face.
Do lead us. Us likes well this lake.
Lord, here are the biggest burns that builds in this borough, most stately and strange, if with strength they be strained. Leave me, sir, I lie not, to look this land through. They are mightiest men with manhood demean.
Wait thou well, or else hast thou wind?
Sir, I wot well without words mo.
In thy tale be not tainted nor tamed.
We nay, sir. Why should I be so?
Well then, we shall face they found us for throw. To what game they begin for to go. Sir Caiaphas, declare them ye can.
Ye lusty leads, now list to my lair. Shape you to their shafts that so sheenly here shine. If young Barnes bow the breed of an hare, flatly ye be put to perpetual pine.
I shall hold this as even as a line.
Whoso shakes, with shame he sheds.
Aye, certain, I say as for mine, when it settles or sadly descends, where I stand, when it rings or wrong it wends, other brists spark and bends, hardly let hake of mine hand.
Sirs, waits to their whites that no wiles be wrought. They are burly and broad, their boast have they blown.
Do never of that now, sir, it needs right naught. For who cursely him quites, he soon shall be known.
Yeah, that dastard to deed dead shall be drawn, whoso faults he foully shall fall.
Now, knights, sin the cock's crown, have him hence with haste for this hall, his ways. Do stiffly step on this stool, make a cry and courtly thou call, even like as Sir Anne thee says.
Oh yes, Jesu, thou Jew of gentle Jacob kin, thou Netherist of Nazareth. Now Nevand is thy name, all creatures the accusers. We command thee, come in and answer to thine enemies, defend now thy fame.
And we have a stage direction which basically says that the Preco, the beadle, is to repeat what Annas has said. Basically, let Jesus be judged. But we'll pause there because there's quite a lot going on here, which the script is possibly being a bit misleading about who some of these. Because what we've got here are a series of accusers, and they're down here as soldiers, but which soldiers and how that's all functioning, and it is a little confusing, and maybe or could be translated as knights. They're down as melees. So yeah, there's something a bit odd about how that comes across in the script. In performance, it might be fine because they might not be soldiers. They might just be, friends of Annas and Caiaphas, members of the Sanhedrin. That they're just numbers, and they've just been listed as some of them are soldiers and some of them might not be, and maybe they are soldiers and they've been brought forward to speak because they're how this all is working is a little confused in my mind. But I think we've got the opportunity to pause and just sort of disentangle some of it. Alan.
Yeah, I think actually a lot of it with those ones, they're basically the guys from the rugby club. You want the big burly lads who are probably not over bright, who've been basically told what to say. And I think there's a number of things in the original script which, with varying spellings, but which I think all translate probably into modern as lads.
Mm. I shall bring to their banners right big men and strange.
Yeah. It's the
could be
rugger
quite
buggers.
literally, couldn't it?
It's the rugger buggers.
Lynn, then Helen.
Yeah, this is a really crowded scene. It strikes me as something that would have been pretty difficult to stage, something that would have taken a lot of practice, because with 6 soldiers who have lines, and then Caiaphas, Pilate, and the beadle comes on, so that's 10 people at least on this little pageant wagon, and they all speak at various times, so you have to, each performer is going to have to be familiar with the arc of the scene to know when to jump in with his line. Like, this would have been really something to stage. I don't know what to make of that, or what the significance of that would be, but it's such a crowded scene.
Helen.
Yeah, there seem to me to be 2 completely separate story arcs. There's the accusers, and Caiaphas actually lists them. A whole series of names, some Jewish, some definitely not. And possibly they are people who are actually standing around on the stage. Possibly he's just referring to a list, and they can be called as and when needed. But the other problem is that the banners, that Pilate's banners, have bowed to Jesus. I mean, this is why they need the strong soldiers to keep them upright. And this is obviously miraculous, but this is how religion works. But the whole problem because Pilate gets very upset about it when they explain to him that his banners have acted themselves at Jesus's passing, he gets very cross, which is why they're getting the biggest and heaviest banner carriers they can find to keep them upright, and why they're being threatened with all sorts of dire, if they bend as much as a hair, that they're going to be in deep doo-doo.
Yeah, we've got an interesting sort of, again, this characterization of Pilate as well. I mean, we've got Annas and Caiaphas returning, and Pilate gets to say, right, could you explain to me what happened in the previous play? Thank you very much. I will now repeat to everyone what has just been said about what happened in the previous play, so we get it twice. So the audience, everyone at the back, definitely got that. Marvellous. But also Pilate seems quite chuffed about, did you hear what Herod said? We're friends now. Herod said that. So all of which actually it's not just that sort of mechanical thing of just making sure the audience knows where we are. But it also does seem to have that function of Pilate going, well, Herod says there isn't a case to answer. Why do I need to have a case to answer? Can we all go home? It's quite early in the morning. I'd like to go back to bed and get another hour's nap before the day starts properly. And oh, no, we're going to keep going. Okay, lovely.
But his attitude changes when he hears about the banners. I felt.
Other thoughts, Sarah? We can't see you if you're waving, so if you just step in if you have anything you want to throw in.
Thank you. I have no urge to step right now, but thank you.
Any other thoughts? Otherwise, we'll continue with the action in just a moment. So Annas did some oyezing, and the Preco, the beadle, I assume that's who they're referring to, unless the beadle is a separate person. That's how I assumed who it was. Is effectively repeats what Annas is saying, and so accusers step forward. Let's accuse this guy. Remember, Jesus is here. I think we can, he's been brought on stage. So once again, we have this effectively silent Jesus so far. Which is again one of the problems with this room, that we're not getting that visual impact coming in. Anyway, the announcement's been made. Annas plus Beadle. Caiaphas continues, and we've got lots of weeing in this, and a wee is more an exclamatory wee rather than a talking about many people. It's like an R or an O, but it's more a wee kind of noise. Anyway, I just thought I'd throw that in.
Way out! We are shamed for all shame. This is rasted all wrong, as I ween.
For all their boast, yon boys are to blame.
Like a sight was never yet seen. Come sit, my comforter, my comfort was caught for me clean. I upstripped, I my might not abstain, to worship him in work and in wit.
Thereof marvelled we mickle what moved you in mind, in reverence of this ribald so rudely to rise.
I was past all my power, though I pained me and pined. I wrought not as I would in no manner of wise. But, sirs, my speech well espies, whitely his ways let him wend. Thus my dome will duly devise, for I am furred him in faith to offend in sight.
And our law were loved till an end. To his tales, if ye truly attend, he enchanted and charmed our knights.
I be his sorcery, sir. Yourself the sooth saw. He charms our chivalrous, and with mischief enchanted. To reverence him royally we raise all in row. Doubtless we endure not of this dastard be daunted.
Why, what harms has this hatel here haunted? I ken to convict him no cause.
To all goms he God's son him granted, and list not to leave on our laws.
Say, man, conceivest thou not what cumbrous clause that this clergy accusing thee gnaws? Speak, and excuse thee if thou can.
Every man has a mouth that is made on mould, in well and in woe to wield at his will. If he govern it goodly, like as God would, for his spiritual speech him not to spill, and what gome so govern it ill, full unhendedly and ill shall he have. Of ilk a tale thou talk'st us, until thou account shall, thou cannot escape.
Sirs mine, ye fawn, in faith, all the frack, for in this lead no least can I lack, nor no point to put him to pine.
Without cause, sir, we come not this carl to accuse him, and that will we ye wit as well is worthy.
Now I record well the right, ye will no rather refuse him, till he be driven to his deed, and deemed to die. but takes him unto you forth, and like as your law will you lear, deem ye his body to abide.
Oh, Sir Pilate, without any peer, do weigh. Ye wot well without in any weir us falls not, nor our fellows in fear. To slow no man, yourself the sooth say.
Why should I deem to deed that without deserving indeed? Why should I deem to dead than without deserving indeed? But I have heard all haily, why in heart ye him hate. He is faultless in faith, and so God mote me speed. I grant him my good, will to gang on his gate.
Not so, sir, for well ye it wot, to be king he claimeth with crown. And whoso stoutly will step to that state, ye should deem, sir, to be done down and dead.
Sir, truly that touch to treason, and or I renew, he rue shall that reason, and or I stalk or stir for this deed, Sir knights that are comely, take this caitiff in keeping, scalp him with scourges, and with scats him scorn, rasp and wring him too, for woe to he be weeping, and then bring him before us as he was before.
Ye may ban the time he was born, soon shall he be served as ye said us.
Do whap of his weeds that are worn.
Already, sir, we have arrayed us, have done. To this brawl let us busk us and braid us, as Sir Pilate has properly prayed us.
We shall set to him sadly soon.
Let us get off his gear. God give him ill grace.
They are teat of tight, lo, take there his trashes.
Now knit him in this cord.
I am cant in this case.
He is bun fast. Now beat on with bitter brashes.
Go on, leaps, harry lordings with lashes, and enforce we this fater to flay him.
Let us drift to him durfly with dashes, or read with our roots we array him, and rent him.
For my part, I am pressed for to pay him.
Yeah, send him sorrow, assay him.
Take him that I have atone for to tent him.
Swing to this swire so swiftly he sweet.
Sweet may the swain for sweat of our swaps.
Rush on this ribald and him wrathfully rehet.
Rehet him, I raid you, with routs and raps.
For all our noy, this niggard he naps.
We shall wacken him with wind of our whips.
Now fling to this flatterer with flaps.
I shall heartily hit on his hips and haunch.
Our scalps not scathless he skips.
Yet him list not uplift his lips and pray us to have pity on his paunch.
To have pity of his paunch he proffers no prayer.
Lord, how likest thou this lack and this lair that we leer you?
Why pull at his pilch I am proud payer.
Thus your cloak shall be cloud to clench you and clear you.
I am strange in strife for to stir you.
Thus with chops this churl shall we chastise.
I trow with this trace we shall tear you.
All thine untrue teachings thus taste I, thou tyrant.
I hope I be hardy and hasty.
I wot well my weapon not waste I.
Swoons or swelts I swarrand.
Let us louse him lightly. Do lay on your hands.
Yeah, for any die for this deed, undone are we all.
Now unboon is this brawl, and unbraced his bands.
Fool, how fares thou now? Foul mote thee fall.
Now, because ye are king, gone him cold, we kindly him with crown with a beer.
Yeah, but first this purple and Paul, and this worthy weed shall he wear for scorn.
I am proud at this point to appear.
Us clothe him in their clothes full clear, as a lord that his lordship has lorn.
Langor thou meet like a men as thou met with this morn.
Do set him in this seat as a seemly in sails.
Now thring him thrally, with a thick thorn.
Oh, it hells to his heed that he harms out hails.
Thus we teach him to temper his tales. His brain begins for to bleed.
Yeah, his blunden has him brought to their bales. Now reach him and wrought him in a reed so round, for his sceptre it serves indeed.
Yea, it is good enow in this need. Let us goodly him great on this ground. Ave, a royal Roy and Rex Eudorion. Hail, comely king that no kingdom has kenned. Hail, undoughty duke that deeds are done. Hail, man unmighty that thy menier to mend.
Hail, Lord, without land for to lend. Hail, king, hail, knave unconnoned.
Hail, freak, without force thee to find. Hail, strang, that may not well stand to strive.
We, harlot, heave up thy hand, and us all thee worship our work end. Thank us, there ill mote thou thrive.
So lead him believe and leng here no longer. To Sir Pilate, our prince, our pride will we praise.
Yeah, he may sing a hurried sleep of sorrow and anger, for many dearth deeds he has done in his days.
Now whitely let wend on our ways. Let us truss us, no time is to tarry.
My lord, will ye listen our lays? Here this boy is he bade us go bury with bats.
That cumbered his corpus for to carry. Many whites on him wonders and wary. Lo, his flesh all be flapped, and that fat is.
Well, bring him before us as he blishes or blow. I suppose of his segging he will cease evermore. Sirs, behold upon height and ecce homo. Thus bounden and beat and brought you before. Meseems that it sows him full sore, for his guilt on this ground is he grieved. If you like for to listen my law, in race. For properly by this process will I prove, I had no force throw this fellowship, this freak for to fiend.
It is all, sir, that ye first end. Will ye wash while the water is hot?
And here he washes his hands.
Now this Barabas band ye unbend. With grace let him gang on his gaps where ye will.
Ye worthy men that here vote, what God increase all your comely estate for the grace ye have granted me until.
Hear the judgment of Jesus. All Jews in this stead, crucify him on a cross and on Calvary him kill. I damn him today to die this same deed. Therefore hangs him on height upon that high hill, and on either side him I will, that a harlot ye hang in this hast. Methinketh it both reason and skill. Amidst sin his malice is masked, ye hang him. Then him torment, some teen for to taste. Mo words I will not now waste, but blin not to deed to ye bring him.
Sir, as seems in our sight that he sadly has said, now knights that are connant with this caitiff ye care, the life of this losel in your list it is laid.
Let us alone, my lord, and lear us nae lair. Sirs, set him sadly and sere, all in cords his course unbecast.
Let us bind him in bands all bare.
Here is one full long will it last.
Lay on hand here.
I will pull my power is past. Now fast is he, fellows, full fast. Let us star us. We may not long stand here.
Draw him fast hence. Deliver you. Have done. Go. Do see him to dead without longer delay. For dead must him be kneeling be none. All mirth must us move to mourn that we may. It is soothly our great Sabbath day. No dead bodies unburied shall be.
We see well the sooth ye say. We shall trail him tight to his tree. Thus talkened.
Farewell, now whitely wend we.
Now certes, ye are a manly men ye. forth in the wild, wanyoned be walking.
And off they jolly well wend. So just a note, I wasn't looking at the script at the time properly. So just before Pilate washes his hands, there is a missing page. So if anyone was wondering why Barabas suddenly turned up and was immediately pardoned, it's because we missed the bit where Barabas was brought on, and they would go to the crowd, who do you want? Jesus, Barabas, Barabas. Which is sometimes a bit of a blessing when you have missing bits, because, that's the bit that often turns out to be the really unbelievably anti-Semitic bit. So we can be perhaps quite glad that we don't have various libels repeated. Here we have got the scourging. We've got a lengthy whipping of Jesus scene from the soldiers, all quite happy about their work, working their way around. There's a nice bit when saying we should make sure we don't kill him before he's executed. That's quite important. We will get into trouble. There's the question of this has to go quite far, but not to death. It's a very violent sequence there. From, I say, the primarily 4 soldiers, and then we have these 2 random sort of additional 5th and 6th soldiers. Some interesting questions there. Thoughts in the room? Anyone want to jump in? Alan, then Helen.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, it may be an artifact of how the script's got modified over centuries. In the main, it almost seems like a round of its first soldier, second soldier, third soldier, fourth soldier, and back to the top. But there are 2 or 3 points at which suddenly it goes 1, 3, 4, 1. And I'm just wondering whether there's some number slippage or whether there's missing lines that have been cut at some point.
1 potato, 2 potato, 3 potato, 6. Helen, then Lynn.
Yeah, I'm going back to the miraculous part of it because it continues. The rugger squad who are holding up the banners prove completely useless at their task. But not only do the banners bow when Christ is brought forward, but Pilate and possibly Caiaphas and Annas sitting as judges, or possibly others, rise to their feet when Jesus is brought forward, and there's nothing they can do about it. They are drawn by an irresistible force, and that it's there in the text, but in this sort of language, fairly deeply hidden in the text. But it is quite a major miraculous event, and they do comment on it.
Yes, this is the problem with a script that almost has no stage directions at all, is that there's quite a lot of action going on here. It may not be dynamic action in the sense of people are moving around a lot, but they're physically doing things that are quite important to what they're talking about. Lynn?
Yeah, I was certainly struck by the scourging sequence. The 1 potato, 2 potato, 3 potato, 4. Just despite the fact that sometimes the sequence seems to be out of kilter. That's so disturbing. The repetitiveness of the sort of musical round form, and the repetitiveness of the alliteration in the lines, and just how protracted that whole sequence is. Here, I'll hit him and say a line of verse with lots of B's in it. Here, I'll hit him and say a line of verse with lots of B's in it. I find that quite disturbing. That whole sequence really creeps me out.
Yeah. And, it's the way they're sort of going, I'll get him on the hips. I'll get him on the thing. And, how do you do that? How do you enact that without mutilating the actors or not doing it in a way that looks rubbish? I can imagine how we do it today, but I'm genuinely quite interested what the convention for this would have been. I have a few things to add in a moment, but any other thoughts in the room from the invisible or visible? Eric?
You can kind of imagine them sort of spitting out those lines, hence the alliteration and the rhythm helps as well, because it's very in quick succession kind of thing as well.
I mean, yeah, it's lengthy, but it may not take that much time, if that makes sense. But then it could also take an awful long time. So we've already commented on some inconsistencies or some confusions. So I mentioned at the beginning that it's sort of the tile makers are sort of more the general factotums. By the time we reach the point this script is noted down, this particular iteration of the script that we have today from the late 15th century. We have notes from earlier that this used to be four separate pageants. So around 14, 15, 20-ish, it's listed as 4 different guilds are running 4 different pageants, and that some kind of elision has been done. Now, that doesn't mean that this represents 4 different scripts that have been thrown together. They may have just started from scratch. But that also explains why the tile makers are more sort of the overarching people. They're still involving other guilds, so there are, in theory, other guilds may be involved in this. And even later on, the tile makers hand it over to, I believe, the millers later on. So this is a play that has, and this happens with other plays as well, may have already happened in some of the earlier ones. I've not been feeding much of this kind of back stuff. We've got a lot of data about York around the text. We've got a lot of accounts that are quite useful, or for that matter, really confusing about how these things change over time. So this, as script is, I say, a snapshot from about 1460s, 70-ish. But we know that this play was either split up or functioned in discretely different units. In the way that, for those who were with us at the beginning of the sequence, when we were looking at the creation, all of that sequence, there's lots of short plays, one after the other. And it looks like, there's a deliberate decision to say, right, okay, we've got too many pageants. Can we simplify this, guys? So we end up with a play that's over 500 lines long when it's completed, rather than most plays, aiming to be about 200, 300. And that may also explain some of the other plays where we're going, well, this is a bit long, or this is a bit, what's going on here, that there may be additional backstory as to how the plays ended up where they are. I deliberately didn't say any of this earlier to see what you came up with, and I'm so glad that you tally with data that we have. It's like there's a point to this exercise and it works. Okay, any other thoughts in reiteration to from that a little bit of backstory that I've very roughly, I should point out. There's a lot more to be said there that further down the line we can do. I'll go to Elizabeth, then I'll go to Helen.
Yeah, Robert, just in the last play we were looking at, I was really thinking about entrances and exits, because I know Pilate says that Jesus should be beaten and should be, assaulted. And then I wonder, does he leave? And then does he come back on stage again? Because it becomes all about the soldiers and Jesus. And then I was wondering about how that would be staged, and how Pilate would come back on stage to do the hand washing. So I was just thinking about the entrances and exits in the play and how important they are, because of which character should be on stage at a specific moment.
It's a really good question, because I say we've got a pageant wagon. It's not necessarily huge. Is the scourging happening on the wagon? Do they maybe find a space amongst the crowd for it to happen, which might be more practical? In its earlier incarnation, where it might have been a separate event from most of the rest of the Pilate stuff, it might have that was just a pageant of let's watch some scourging. So the simple answer is I don't know. But it's a really good question, whether anyone else in the room has thoughts on that. Alan?
I'm just wondering whether we've got, because we had in one of the previous plays, I think it was the previous trial before Pilate, where effectively it seemed to work. There was a curtained area at the back of the pageant wagon, and Caiaphas, Annas and Pilate retired for a nice jug of wine while the nastiness was going on, and then came back. Nothing to do with us, Gov. And I'm just wondering whether the same stunt could be pulled here again. Deniability.
Yeah, no, I think that feels very plausible that there's effectively an upstage area. These are relative. You've got effectively a rectangle to work with, but there may be levels to it or an area that you can hide, or in fact they don't exit. They just take a step backwards and watch. Maybe having wine because why not? But yeah. I'm sure there will have been performances of this particular play to get an idea of how it might function on a practical pageant wagon, and what's the best way. Helen, I didn't go to you. I will go to you now. Then Lynn.
Yeah, I'm going to be a bit tedious with my historian hat on. I can readily believe from the York records that there's a lot of stuff, but is it only the house books, the municipal records, or do we have anything as interesting as accounts?
I believe we do have accounts, yes.
So
we've got various bits and pieces.
One might even be able to pull lists of props from that then.
Oh yeah, there's expenses, I'm sure, for York, where how much things cost and doing up X and Y. So you get an idea of what works over time. You've got an idea that there's a note for this particular player, say later on, the Tile Makers, because there's a note about them as a company. They're sort of basically really poor, and hence they get passed. Their status decreases over time. So that later on they're going, well, they're a bit defunct. They're not quite defunct, but they can't afford to run a pageant as elaborate as this. So we'll pass it on. So there's effectively gossip almost amongst there. But again, I don't know the absolute details, and I'm sure. There's so much we can dig into further down the line that absolutely there's material.
Thank you.
Yeah. Which is a very long and fancy way of saying yes, but I'm not really sure how it all works. Lynn?
I just was going to skip back to the question we were talking about a moment ago, the question of entrances and exits, which actually, that really is important for the effect that you achieve. If Pilate and Caiaphas and Annas are on stage sipping wine, watching the scourging, that's a very different effect than if nothing to do with me, gov, as somebody said. So that's definitely an important decision one would have to make. If they watch it, that deepens that kind of sadism. But if they decide to absent themselves, that's also, it reflects negatively on those authority figures, but in a different way.
Anything from our invisible member?
Not at this time, no. Thank you.
Excellent. Okay. We will go forward to play 34. So there's a bit of Calvery road maintenance here. And this is the shearmen who are in charge of the finishing of broadcloth, primarily. So they're quite a skilled lot, I say, working with material. We've got, once again, we will have a gap in the manuscript coming up. We've got a missing line coming up in the first soldier's speech, and then later on we are going to have a chunky page missing, sadly. This is quite soldier heavy, so we're going to see how that's all going to go, but it's mostly first and second soldier. I see a third soldier. Do I see fourth soldier? No, I thought there was an absentee fourth soldier for this play. So yeah, it's a trio of soldiers as far as I can tell. Anyway, soldiers, take it away. We can assume that Jesus and a cross are perhaps present.
Peace, barons and bachelors that bells hereabout. Stir not once in this steed, but stand stone still. Or, be the lord that I leave on, I shall gar you lout. But ye spare when I speak your speech, shall I spill smartly and soon. For I am sent fro Pilate with pride, that lead this lad our laws to abide. He gets no better bone. Therefore I command you, on ever ilka side, upon pain of imprisonment, that no man appear to suppole this traitor, be time, nay, betide.
And line missing here.
Not one of his praise, nor not one so hardly for to inquire, but help me wholly, all that are here this caitiff care to increase. Therefore make room, and rule ye now right, that we may beat you with this wearied wight, whitely wend on our ways. He napped not of all this night, and this day shall his death be dight. Let see who dare say nay. Because to morn is provide for our dear Sabbath day, we will no miss be moving, but mirth in all that ever men may. We have been busy all this morn to clothe him and to crown him with thorn, as falls for a fool king. And now methinketh our fellows scorn, they hight to have been here this morn, this fater forth to bring, to nap now is not good. Way, how I might be hing.
Peace, man, the hound's blood. Why make ye such crying?
Why wot thou not as well as I this Carl Berde unto Calvery, and there on cross be done?
Since doom is given that he shall die, they'd call to our small company, and else we air our phone.
Our gear behoves to be great, and fellows sammed soon, for Pilate has said, him bust be deed be none. Where is Sir Wimond? Wot ye aught?
He went to guard a cross be wrought, to bear this cursed knave.
That would I soon were hither brought, for sithen shall other gear be sought, that us behooves to have.
Us must have styes and ropes to rug him till he rave, and nails and other japes, if we ourself will save.
To tarry long us with full lathe, but Wymond come, it is in wrath, but we be blamed all three. Way, how, Sir Wymond? Way teketh cathe.
Way how? Sir Wymond, how?
I'm here. What say ye, bathe? Why cry ye so on me? I've been gar make this cross as ye may see of that lay over the lake, and called it the King's Tree.
Now securely I thought the same, for that bulk will no man us blame, to cut it for the king.
This Carl has called him king at hame. Sin this tree has such a name, it is according thing that his rig on it may rest, for scorn and for hething.
Methought it seemed best till this bargain to bring.
It is well wars, so mote I speed, and it be leal in length and breed, then is this space well spent.
To look thereafter it is no need. I took the measure or I yode for both the feet and the hand.
Behold how it is bored, full even as ilka an end. This work will well accord, it may not be amend.
Nay, I have ordined mickle more. Yea, these thieves are sent before that beside him shall hang in styes, for also are ordined Thor. With stalwart steels as Mr. War. Both are some short, some lang.
For hammers and nails, let's see soon who shall gang.
Here are brags that will not fail, of in and steel, full strange.
Then is it as it waith to be, or but which of you shall bear this tree, since I have brought it hither?
Be my faith, bear it shall he, that thereon hang soon shall be, and we shall teach him whether.
Upon his back it shall be laid, for soon we shall come thither.
Look that our gear be grey, then we go we all together.
Alas, for my master that most is of might, that yester even let with lanterns light, before the bishop was brought, both Peter and I, we saw that sight, and sithen we went our ways full white, when the Jews wonderly wrought, at morn they took to read, and so telts upsought, and deemed him to be dead, that to them trespassed naught. Alas for sight, what shall I say? My worldly wealth is went for aye. In woe ever may I wend, my master that never lacking lay, is deemed to be dead this day. even in his elm's hend. Alas, for my master mild, that all men's miss may mend, should so falsely be filed, and no friends him to fiend. Alas, for his mother and other moo, my mother and her sisters also, sit samen with sighing sore, they wot nothing of all this woo. Forthy to warn them will I go, since I may mend no more, since he shall die as tight, and they unwarned war. I were worthy to write, to white, I will to fast therefore, but in mine heart great dread have I, that his mother for dole shall die. When she see ones that sight, but certes I shall not wand forthy, to warn that careful company, or he to be dead be dight.
And here we have a missing page. Broadly speaking, we can actually possibly recreate this missing page because luckily Townley steals quite a lot from this particular play. So in a few weeks' time, when we reach that stage in Townley, we should be able to fill in the gap. But broadly speaking, John having mentioned that Jesus' mother is going to be not desperately happy, and also mentioning the other Marys, at some point Mary 1, Mary 2 and Mary 3 have entered to join the throng here around this pitiful scene. So we pick up with a speech from, depending on your point of view, it could be Mary speaking the first two lines, or it could be John, followed by Mary afterwards. But for simplicity's sake, we've just gone with Mary. So Mary, take it away.
Since he from us will twine, I shall thee never forsake. Alas, the time and tide! I wot well the day is come that was specified of Prophet Simeon in prophecy. The sword of sorrow should run throughout the heart subtly.
Alas, this is a sinful, sithful sight. He that was ever lovely and light, and Lord of high and low. Oh, dolefully now is he dight. In world is none so woeful a wight, nay, so careful to know. They that he mended most in deed and as in sore, now have they full great haste to dead him for to draw.
Watchers of Jerusalem city sees and mourns no more for me, but thinks upon this thing. For yourself mourn shall ye, and for the sons that born shall be of you, both old and young. For such fare shall befall, that ye shall give blessing to barren bodies all, that no barrens forth may bring. For certes ye shall see such a day, that with sore sighting shall ye say unto the hills on height, fall on us mountains, and ye may, and cover us for that fell affray that on us soon shall light. Turns home the town until ye, since ye have seen this sight, it is my Father's will, all as is done and dight.
Alas, this is a cursed case. He that all heal in his hand has, shall here be sackles slain. Ah, Lord, believe let cleanse thy face. Behold how he hath showed his grace, how he is most of main. This sight shall bear witness unto all people plain, how God's Son, here guiltless, is put to peerless pain.
Hey, whereto bide ye hereabout? Their queens, with their skimmering and their shout, will not their Stephen steer?
Go home, Casbold, with thy clout, or be that lord we love and lout, thou shalt abide full dear.
This sign shall vengeance call on you, wholly in fear.
Oh, hide thee hence with all, or ill hail thou, come thou here.
Lady, your greeting grieves me sore.
John, help me now and evermore, that I might come him till.
My lady, wend we forth before to Calvery, when ye come thither, then shall ye say what ye will.
What a devil is this to say? How long shall we stand still? Go, Hie you hence away in the devil's name, down the hill.
Queens as comers in with their clack, he shall be served for their sake, with sorrow and with sore.
And they come more such noise to make, we sure guard lick them in the lake if they were off a score.
Let's now such boarding be, since our tools are before this traitor and this tree, would I full fain were Thor.
We shall no more so still be stead, for now their queens are for us Fred, that falsely would us fear.
And we're just going to pause there. We're a reasonable percentage of the way in. It is a little unusual for Jesus to be doing his Daughters of Jerusalem speech to the three Marys. It sort usually turns out to be a series of anonymous women. It seems a bit harsh to be delivering that to his mother, but what can you do? It's interesting, the first soldier, or the soldier's general thing of, oh, let's get on with it. Why are we sitting here waiting? There's this interesting, the third soldier has a name. A name that sounds a little sarky to my ears, Sir Wymond. It's just, it feels like, he's off there whittling crosses. And he's the carpenter. He's made the cross. None of this I think is biblical. I think this is all interpolated for this play. Again, question of staging. How much of this is on a platform? This could just as easily literally happen in the street, because it's about journeying with a cross. So it's a really interesting question about how this functions. Thoughts from the room so far? We still have a bit more to do. We've obviously missed a chunk. Helen, then Alan.
Yeah, I'm still worrying about all the references that we're completely skipping over because there are no. We've got no footnotes, no stage directions, no interpolated text. There's the miracle of the Vera icon, the true image, which sort of happened and disappeared. We've also got.
Where, in what point? At what point did that occur?
His face is white, and then there is the image of it on it.
And what?
So where is that in the action?
I'm scrolling back, but I don't know. But it's there. I saw it as it whizzed past me.
Because by all means, bring up anything that you feel that we're not explicating enough. That's absolutely fine. That's what we're here to do. What is this action you were talking about, and where does it occur?
Well, I can't find it because I'm now looking for it, so it's disappeared.
but explicate for those who don't know what exactly are we actually talking about?
Well, on the way, someone with a large napkin, a handkerchief, wiped Christ's face, and a bit like the Turin shroud thing, there was a picture of the face on it, and it's usually ascribed to St. Veronica. Her name means true picture, Vera icon. And the relic itself is currently in St. Peter's. It's one of the four pillars.
The third Mary has that speech where she cleanses. She asks if she can clean his face, and then behold how he hath showed his grace. So is that maybe what's going on?
Yes, this sign shall bear witness. There it is.
Yes.
Yes, that is the. It isn't apparent, but that's what that is.
So in this version, it's Mary number 3. Again, it feels like there's a lot of conflation going on here. Is wiping the face after his Daughters of Jerusalem speech, which the first soldier just says, yeah, enough of that, move on.
Yes, but that I think is what is happening there. Then you've got the place where the wood of the cross has come from.
Mm.
Now that is a very long story, and it starts with Adam and the apple and the pip from the core, which got a tree from which Jesse took his staff, which rooted and became a tree, which was then used for the crucifixion.
Because
That's Jesse, the father of David.
Yep, that's the guy.
yeah, because the third soldier, called, literally, it's called the King's Tree. And it's referencing in passing that it's not a bit of action that is held on. It's not like with the Third Mary, that is a physical action we need to interpolate. This is just something he's bringing up, which, admittedly, the modern audience will probably just whiz past.
Yes, I don't see how you can bring in the history of the wood of the cross. It becomes important later when you get St. Helena. But
it's a nice detail, though. It's interesting that they're putting these details in, even if it's just in passing in the text.
But I do think the napkin is important.
Oh yes, because it's an action. I mean, that's the thing. Is if there's something we want to mention any actions, bring them up. Other thoughts, things that we should explicate or go on about. I mean, they're not really moving. It's sort of the thing of the bloke's that they're waiting for the bloke to bring the cross in. It's like we're expecting a delivery at 11, and it's now midday, and time's moving on, and then all these women appear. The soldiers, they're very workmanlike in that sense of going, can we get on? We've left the women behind, and in a moment they're going to be saying, he's not moving very fast, is he? They've got an itinerary to keep up with. Alan.
Yeah, I mean, this whole sequence feels to me much more like a promenade piece in the audience area rather than up on a pageant wagon.
Or elements are, maybe the Marys are up on the wagon or some. I don't know. It's genuinely if they haven't moved yet, because in a sense they haven't moved. All that's happened is someone brought a cross on. Maybe so far it's all up on. It starts on a pageant wagon and then it has the potential to move off. It depends on actually how much movement there actually is. I don't think we can infer that they've actually moved a sodding inch yet.
And of course we've got Jesus will be there under the guard of soldiers 1 and 2, but has not got any substantive speech at the beginning of this. So maybe sitting on the steps of the pageant wagon.
Yeah, because so Jesus, has this speech which is pretty much straight from the Bible. Turns up in all of these plays, which is basically, you're just going to wish you weren't born, and that you don't, because you know what, things are going to get so much worse. I mean, there's other stuff in there as well, but he's a real downer at that point. Can't imagine why. Lynn.
Yeah, I don't know if the soldiers are actually down in the audience, but the first soldier's speech does kind of it could potentially kind of include the audience, boys and boys, stand still, be quiet, we've got something to do here.
Yes, they're doing it almost he's not quite making a boast, but he is definitely saying shut up and look at me, so that we've got that sense of direction going on.
Yeah, that moment strikes me as a little meta-theatrical. The audience is now included in the performance because they become the crowd in Jerusalem.
Making it extra dark. Any other thoughts? Oh, Eric, you're sort of seeing his tentative hand.
It was kind of stupid. I was just gonna say that the soldiers are kind of like waiting for Jesus to turn up and sort of just like, one of them isn't exactly a soldier though at the beginning, because like the third soldier seems to change halfway between being carpenter and a soldier.
Ah, well, Roman soldiery, if they are Roman, of course, depending on your point of view, that's actually probably their primary job is to be is to be construction.
Oh, okay.
Roman soldiery actually spends a very little time doing any fighting.
Yeah.
They build things mostly.
The third soldier as well has that great line. I'm just trying to find it now. But which of you shall bear this tree, since I have brought it hither? It's like you get the impression that's been quite a journey for him, and he's very practical and like, yeah, okay, I've done my bit.
Yeah,
So,
I've carried it all this way from the depot.
Yeah.
Time for you idle so-and-sos to actually do some work.
Yeah, you're sitting there complaining. You haven't done anything yet.
And they're looking for like the little, sort of Allen key, like for, like the IKEA instructions.
Or the child of 5 to deal with the instructions.
Thank you for purchasing this Mark 17-4B cross. Now, anyway, let us move swiftly on, because that's okay. Going beyond the bounds of taste. Good taste there. Let's finish this play. So the soldiers may have moved, but they may not have moved very far, because it looks like Jesus is already not up to the task of carrying the cross. Third soldier picks up the dialogue.
You think if this boy is so forbid with this lad, he may not be led. He swoons there, I swear.
It needs not hard to harrow, since it does him slike dear.
I see here comes a carle, shall help him for the bear.
That shall ye see soon, wanna say. Good man, whither is thou away? Thou walks as though thou were wroth.
Sir, I have a great journey that must be done this same day, or else it may do scath.
Thou may with little pain ease thyself and us bath.
Good sirs, that would I fain, but to dwell were me laugh.
Nay, Besuja, thou shalt soon be spared. Lo, here a lad that must be led for his ill deeds to die.
And he's bruised and all forbid that makes us here thus still be stead. We praise thee, sir, for that thou wilt take this tree and bear it to Calvery.
Good sirs, that may not be, for full great haste have I. My ways are lang and wide, and I may not abide, for dread I come too late. For surety I have height must be fulfilled this night, or it will pair my state. Therefore, sirs, by your leave, methinketh I dwell full long, me were it loath you for to grieve. Good sirs, let me gang, for longer here now may I won.
Nay, certes thou shalt not go so soon, for aught that thou can say. This deed is most haste to be done, for this boy must be deed by none. And now it is near midday. Go help him in his need, and make no more delay.
I pray you, do your deed, and let me wend my way. And sirs, I shall come again soon again to help this man with all my main, even at your own will.
What, would thou trust with such a train? Nay, Freitas, thou shalt be fain, thus forward to fulfil, or by mighty Mahound, thou shalt rue it full ill.
Let ding this dastard down, but he go tight there still.
Certes, sir, that were not wisely wrought to beat me, but I trespass aught, either in word or deed.
Upon his back it shall be brought, to bear it whether he will or not. What devil, whom should we dread? Go, take it up, believe, and bear it forth good speed.
It helps not here to strive. Bear it behoves me need, and therefore, sirs, as ye have said, to bear this cross I hold me paid, right as ye would it wore.
Yeah, now are we right arrayed? Look that our gear be ready grade to work when we come there.
I ward already our tools both less and more. Let him go hardly forth with the cross before.
Since he has his laid, now let him gang, for with his warlow work we rang, and we thus with him yode.
And now is not good enough, good to tarry lang. What should we done with more us amang? Say soon, so mote thou speed.
Never to us no other note till we have done this deed.
When me think we dote, he must be naked need. All if he called himself a king, in his clothes he shall not hang, but naked as a stone be stead.
That call I accordant thing, but till his sides I trow they cling, for blood that he hath bled.
Whether they cling or cleave, naked he shall be led, and furthermore mischief buffets him shall be bed.
Take off his clothes, believe, let's see. Aha, this garment will fall well for me, and so I hope it shall.
Nay, sir, so may it not be. There must be part among us three. Take even as will fall.
Yea, and Sir Pilate meddle him, your part will be but small.
Sir, and ye list, go tell him, yet shall he not have all, but even his own part, and no more.
Yeah, let them legs still here in store, until this deed be done.
Let bind him as it was before in Harlon hard that he with Thor and hanged or be it none.
He shall be fast as fee, and that right sore and soon.
So falls him for to be, he gets no better bone. This work is well now I warrand, for he is bound as beast in band, that is deemed for to die.
Then read I that we no longer stand, but ilke man fast on him a hand, and harl him hence in high.
Yeah, now is time to trust to all our company.
If any ask after us, ken them to Calvery.
And off they jolly well went. So, yeah, in theory, he doesn't actually move an inch, so it could all happily live on a pageant until they finish, in which case the cross can be taken off. Just to note that the repeated second soldier, the second one of those should have been third soldier. So, Eric, we stole 3 lines from you. So sorry. So yeah, they're co-opting Simon again. I hope that Simon is from the audience, so that he's dragged out. Again, leaning into that sort of slightly meta thing of being able to use the audience as the people of Jerusalem in that way. I think that's quite nice. Any thoughts on this closing section there, Alan?
I presume you mean that Simon is sitting among the audience rather than a random audience member.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he's not. They're not expecting some random person to know the lines. No, just in the crowd, a plant. Or that's how I do it anyway. Lynn, then Helen.
So is Simon's unwillingness to carry the cross for Jesus a mystery cycle thing? Because I have never seen that spin on that little episode in the Passion before. I've always thought that, Simon's a saint because he voluntarily carried the beam for Jesus.
From off the top of my head, he's always initially not keen, and then he sees Jesus and sort of goes, "Oh no, hang on, no, that seems, I'm not quite sure." He does seem quite anti in my memory, and then maybe turns a corner. But yeah, it does seem to be here that it's basically, I'm in a hurry. I'll do it on the way back. No, I'm definitely coming back this way, so I'll definitely pick up the cross for you. That's absolutely definitely going to happen. I did like that. I love that detail because I'm sure I've used it myself. Helen.
Yes, I mean, when staging it, I think it would be quite interesting if they do first light on a random member of the audience, or maybe even more than one random member of the audience before happening upon their plant, Simon of Cyrene. it would I was about to say it would cheer the thing up, but I don't know that we really do want this cheered up.
No, we're very in the dark stages of it's got to get dark, because otherwise you don't get the release of everything being happy and lovely later on. So, and of course they fight over what they're going to get as well. The clothes at the end. We've had this in lots of plays, of course. The executioners get the clothes, but of course there's more than one executioner. So in this case, there's only 3 in this play. Next play we're regaining a soldier force, or knight for, depending on how you want to translate melees. Helen.
I think it's rather interesting that they assume that Pilate is going to want his share.
Well, yeah.
I mean, they won't be able to take away the whole value. They're going to argue their case that he should have as little as possible.
Absolutely. Sorry, I've just noticed another mislabeled soldier coming up. Other thoughts before we go into? We're gonna just let the next play run straight through. So any thoughts before that, Alan?
Yeah, I think Simon's obviously understood the first rule in any army of don't volunteer. And also the civilian one of don't cooperate with the occupying forces. You get done as a collaborator.
Yeah. Other thoughts? Eric.
It's interesting how this play just doesn't give Jesus any speeches whatsoever. It's actually just kind of he's been quiet since he was in Herod's house.
Well, he got the daughter's speech, but that was it.
Yeah, that's about it.
We didn't really sit that well in the flow, to my mind. Is this another cut and paste job, this play?
It's it may not fit in the flow because it's not. We've had a bit missing just before it, so but it is something that you generally have. It's just not necessarily to the Marys. I mean, that's the thing, is it's more there are women who are sad for Christ in his situation there, and you have the bit with the hanky. He makes this doleful lament at them. So I think in the flow, actually, it makes more sense, but we have a page missing before we get to it. So, but there is an interesting elation going on there about the stuff. Just a note for second soldier coming up. Broadly speaking, the lines in the Crucifixion go first, second, third, fourth, etc. In a cycle. About the third or fourth time around, someone who should be first soldier is labelled as second soldier. So whoever's first soldier, just be aware. After fourth soldier, it says second soldier, it should be first. It comes up about 3 or 4 times round. There's one that's definitely wrong.
So it's regular as 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2,
I think
3,
it's regular
4.
all the way through.
Okay.
But it may not be entirely. It may change later on, but I know definitely coming up. There's 2 second soldiers, one after the other. The first one of those should be first soldier.
Okay.
I say later on, I think it does break up a little bit, but at this opening gambit, it isn't. So, going on to play 35, the Crucifixion. This is the pinners and painters. Pinners, literally interested in making of pins and other small metal things of similar nature. So we're going to go on with this and see where it goes. First soldier, second soldier, third soldier, fourth soldier, and we have a new fourth soldier. I've passed the baton over to Sarah. So Jesus is also in attendance and does occasionally speak.
Sir knights, take heed hither and high, this deed entree we may not draw. Ye wot yourself as well as I, how lords and leaders of our law has given doom that this goat shall die.
Sir, all that counsel well we know, since we are coming to Calvery, that ilka man help now him or.
We are already, though, the forward to fulfill.
Let hear how we shall do, and go we tight theretil.
It may not help her for to hone, if we shall any worship win.
He must be dead, needlings, by noon.
Then is good time that we begin.
Let ding him down, then he is done. He shall not dear us with his din.
He shall be set and learned soon, with care to him and all his kin.
The foulest deed of all, shall he die for his deeds?
That means crossing we shall.
Behold, so right he reads.
Then to his work he must take heed, so that our working be not wrong.
None other note to Nevin is need, but let us haste him for to hang.
And I've gone for gear good speed, both hammers and nails large and long.
Then may we boldly do this deed. Come on, let's kill this traitor strong.
Fair might ye fall in fear that has wrought on this wise.
Us needs naught for to leer, such Freitas to chastise.
Such, since ilka thing is right arrayed, the wisely now work may we.
The cross on ground is goodly grade, and bored even as it with to be.
Look that he had in length be laid, and made him than unto this tree.
All his fare he shall be flayed, that one say, soon shall ye see.
Come forth, thou cursed knave, thy comfort soon shall cue.
Thine high here shall thou have.
Walk on, now work we well.
Almighty God, my Father, free, let this matters be made in mind. Thou bade that I should buxom be for Adam plight for to be pinned. Here indeed I oblige me fro that sin to save mankind, and sovereignly bespeak I thee that they for me may favour find, and from the fiend them fend, so that their souls be save in wealth without an end. I keep naught else to crave.
Pray, hark ye, knights, for Mahun's blood of Adam kind is all his thought.
Warlow waxes war than wood, this doleful deed need dreadeth thee naught.
Thou should have mind with mien and mood of wicked works that thou hast wrought.
I hope that he hath been as good, has ceased of sores that he upsought.
Those saws shall rue him sore for all his sauntering soon.
I'll ill speed them that him spare, till he be dead to be done.
Have done believe, boy, and make thee bound, and bend thy back unto this tree.
Behold, himself hath laid him down in length and breadth, as he should be.
This traitor here, tainted of treason, go fast, and fet him then, ye three. And sin he claimeth kingdom and crown, even as a king, here hang shall he.
Now, certes, I shall naught find, or his right hand be fest.
The left hand then is mine. Let's see who bears him best.
His limbs on length then shall I lead, and even unto the boar them bring.
And to his head I shall take heed, and with mine hand help him to hang.
Now sin we four shall do this deed, and meddle with this unthrifty thing. Late no man spare for special speed, till that we have made ending.
This forward may not fail. Now are we right arrayed.
This boy here in our bale shall bide full bitter braid.
Sir knights, say, how work we now?
Yea, certes, I hope hold this hand, and to the boar I have it brought, full buxomly without and bound.
Striketh on then hard, for him thee bought.
Yes, here is a stub will stiffly stand, through bones and sinews it shall be sought. This work is well, I will warrand.
Say, sir, how do we Thor? This bargain may not nin.
It fails a foot and more, the sinews are so gone in.
Hope that mark amiss be bored.
Then must be bide in bitter bale.
In faith, it was over scantily scored that makes it folly for to fail.
I carp ye so, fast on a cord, and tug him too by top and tail.
Yeah, their commands as lightly as the Lord. Come help the whole with ill hail.
Now, certes that shall I do, full snelly as a snail.
And I shall tash him too, full neamly with a nail. This work withhold that dare I heed, for now we are fast both his hands.
Go we all four then to his feet, so shall our space be speedily spent.
See what board this bale might beat. Thereto my back now would I bend.
Ow, this work is all unmeet. This boring must all be amend.
Ah, peace, man, for my wound. Let no man wote that wonder. A rope shall rug him down, if all his sinews go asunder.
That cord full kindly can I knit, the comfort of this carle to keel.
Fest on then, fast that all be fit. It is no force how fell he feel.
Lug on ye both a little yet.
I shall not cease as ye have sealed.
And I shall fond him for to hit.
Oh, hail!
How now? I hold it well.
Have done, drive in that nail, so that no fault be found.
This working would not fail if 4 bulls here were bound.
Their cords have evil increased his pain, or he were, till the borings brought.
Yes, sunder are both sinews and veins, on ilka side, so have we sought.
Now all his goods, nothing him gains, his ordering shall with bail be bought.
I will go say to our sovereigns of all this works, how we have wrought.
Nay, sirs, another thing falls first to you and me. They bade we should him hang on height that men might see.
Wot well, so their words wore. Sir, that deed will do us dear.
It may not mend for to moot more. This harlot must be hanged here.
The mortise is made fit therefore.
Rest on your fingers then in fear.
I ween it will never come though. We 4 raise it not right to year.
Say, man, why carpst thou so? Thy lifting was but light.
Means there must be mo to heave him up on height.
Now, certes, I hope it shall not need to call us more company. Methink we 4 should do this deed and bear him to yon hill on high.
It must be done without dread. No more, but look ye be ready, and this part shall I lift and lead. On length he shall no longer lie. Therefore now make you boon, let bear him to yon hill.
Then will I bear here down and tent his toes until.
We 2 shall see till either side, for else this work will bry all rang.
We are ready.
Good sirs, abide, and let me first his feet up fang.
Tent ye so long to tails this tide?
Lift up.
Let's see.
Oh, lift alang!
For all this harm you should him hide, and he were God.
The devil him hang.
For great harm I have hent, my shoulder is asunder.
Certes, I am near shent, so long have I borne under.
This cross and I am in two must twin, else breaks my back in sunder soon.
Lay down again, and leave your din. This deed for us will never be done.
Assay, sirs, let's see if any gin may help him up withouten hone. For here should white men worship win, and not with gods all day to gone.
More whiter men than we, full few I hope ye find.
This bargain will not be, for certes me want to wind.
So will have worked never we wore. I hope this carl some cautels cast.
My burden sat me wonder sore, unto the hill I might not last.
Lift up, and soon he shall be Thor, therefore fest your fingers fast.
Lift.
Wee Lou!
A little more.
Hold then,
How now?
the worst is past.
He weighs a wicked weight.
So may we all 4 say, or he was heaved on height, and raised in this array.
He made a stand as any stone, so boisterous was he for to bear.
Now, raise him neamly for the nonce, and set him by this mortice here, and let him fall in all at once, for certes that pain shall have no peer.
Heave up.
Oh, let down, so all his bones are asunder now on side sear.
This falling was more fell than all the harms he had. Now may a man well tell, the least lift of this lad.
Methinketh this cross will not abide, nay stand still in this mortis yet.
At the first time was it made over wide. That makes it weigh, thou may well wit.
It shall be set on ilka side, so that it shall no further flit. Good wedges shall we take this tide, and fest the foot, then all is fit.
Here are wedges arrayed, for that both great and small.
Where are our hammers laid that we should work withal?
We have them here, even at our hand.
Give me this wedge, I shall it in drive.
Here is another.
Do take it, hit me hither belied.
Lay on then, fast.
Yes, I warrant, I thring them Sam, so mote I thrive. Now will this cross full stably stand, all if he rave, they will not rive.
Say, sir, how likest thou now this work that we have wrought?
We pray you, say us how ye feel, or faint ye ought.
All men that walks by way or street takes tent, ye shall no travail tine. Beholds mine head, mine hands, and my feet, and fully feel now all ye fine. If any mourning may be meet or mischief measured unto mine, my Father that all bales may beat, forgive these men that does me pine. What they work, what they naught. Therefore, my Father, I crave, let never their sins be sought, but see their souls to save.
Way, hark, he jangles like a jay.
Thinks he patters like a pie.
He's been doing this all this day, and made great moving of mercy.
Is this the same that gan us say that he was God's Son Almighty?
Therefore he feels it full fell affray, and deemed this day for to die.
Wrath he destroyed templum.
His swords were so certain.
And, sirs, he said to some he might raise it again.
To muster that he had no might, for all the cottles that he could cast. All if he were in words so white, for all his force now he is fast. As Pilate deemed is done and dight, therefore I read that we go rest.
Race must be rehearsed right through the world of both east and west.
Yeah, letting hang here still and make mouths on the moon.
Then may we wend at will.
Nay, good sirs, not so soon, for certes us needs another note. This kirtle would I of you crave.
Nay, sir, we will look be lot. Whilk of us 4 fools it to have.
I read we draw cut for this coat. Lo, see how soon all sides to save.
The shortcut shall win, that well ye wot, whether it fall to knight or knave.
Fellows, ye there not flight, for this mantle is mine.
Go we then hence tight, this travail here we tine.
And etc. Off they bicker. So we have an incredibly detailed series of inferred stage directions. We know from the text at what point each nail goes in. We know when they're dragging ropes. I mean, basically, whoever cut the holes into the cross in preparation for the nails made a total bodge of it, and they're having to use ropes to stretch Jesus into the right position. Jesus is very pliant, it must be said. He, gets into position for them. They just mention it, and he gets into, and they're quite surprised. And yeah, we have all these various workman cues that go with it. There's an interesting question as to precisely where this initial nailing occurs, because they keep talking about, once he's been nailed to the cross, about going to yon hill, which raises all sorts of questions, because either this is happening in the street and then they're going to take it to the pageant cart and then lift him onto there, at which point there is a mortise, or there is a place to slot the cross into, which they heave up and then let down. which suggests that that's quite a violent process. His bones get shaken up a bit. But then they find the hole's a bit wide. They have to put some wedges in to make sure he doesn't sway side to side. So it's all very practical. And speaking as someone who has had to organise a crucifixion, it's incredibly hard work. And all this stuff about lifting him up and stuff, this is all practical mechanics that you have to get right. Because, you've got an actor on a cross, and you could really hurt him and or members of the audience if you are not careful. Because when that whole thing about dropping it into a hole, you could really do somebody's back in. And also you need to make sure you don't do. They talk about injuring their backs. You have to make sure you do not injure the back of the soldiers lifting. So everyone should lift from the knees, and the risk assessment for this is incredibly long. All of which is both incredibly flippant, but is also incredibly on par with what this play is doing, and what this text is doing. The cruelty of it all. Thoughts from the room about this?
Sarah's got a.
Yeah, can I say something? I put a little hand in the air. I don't know if.
Oh yes, I can see. I can see your little hand. Yes.
I've never tried that before, but anyway, there you go. Yeah, I think the practicality of it and the flippancy, and Alan put in the chat, it'd be difficult to do this without it becoming farcical. I think the farce of it kind of makes it more horrifying. It makes it worse somehow, and it just brings it home to me yet again, like just how sophisticated these mystery plays are, because that there's a really good sense of how drama works here, and the fact that the bathos of this scene, and also the practicality of it, and the sheer hard work and the skill involved, just makes the horror of what's happening even more visceral and appalling.
There's various moments where you can basically hear them just go, "Oh, that's a big job." At times, and it's the darkness of it comes through, and you might get. I mean, having staged it, you don't get laughs. You could get it's darkly comic, but you don't really get laughs out of this. Not even nervous laughing for that matter. Eric.
Well, also it's kind of like very graphic in the like usually obviously with plays that have more stage directions, it's sort of they sort of nail him down and that kind of thing. But this actually describes like, oh yeah, I'll take the left hand, you take the right hand, oh look, it won't, like the nail won't go in through the sinews and all that stuff, and you're like kind of, it's that feeling of gore, great, wonderful.
Well, that's the thing, is it depends partly on how it's staged as to how much the audience can see of that. Because if it is on a pageant wagon and the cross is lying down, then actually the audience is not necessarily going to be able to see with a very clear line of sight the actual action. So the dialogue has to be descriptive in that sense. If it's in the street, then that's not a problem. There's big questions in my mind about quite a few of these as to precisely how the relationship between pageant wagon and street functions. Other thoughts? Oh, Sarah again.
Yes, sorry, I just have a question, which is perhaps not entirely relevant, but I know York quite well, and I'm just wondering, do we know? Is there any record of whereabouts in York this took place? I'm thinking about the hill. And that they take him up and what have you. I mean, would that have been an artificial hill that they created, or would they have actually used like the mound at Clifford's Tower or whatever? Like...
The pageants would travel around to various set staging points,
right?
Of which we do have a pretty good idea where they are. Some of them are still moderately extant. Many of them are not. So that's the reason why I'm thinking about the hill being the pageant wagon, therefore the crucifixion doesn't necessarily happen. Most of the play doesn't happen on a pageant wagon unless they have a series of mortises set all the way along. So it's a really interesting logistical question about how you do this that I'm really not sure about. And also how you take it all down again between, because you've got a few minutes to turn around, move the wagon onto the next staging point to be performed again. I'm sure, again, there are people who've done this, so that they will have answers as to options that you might have. Of course, we don't have to do it that way. We can do whatever we like. Other thoughts about this particular play? Lynn, were you waving or just...
I have a kind of final thought thing rolling around in my head, which I actually have been trying to solidify since last week when we did some other York plays. There's just something paradoxical about the whole genre of biblical drama in this period, because Christianity began as this outlier cult, basically, that it was viewed as very subversive and dangerous and anti-establishment, and Jesus was a threat to the hierarchy, and that's why he was crucified, because he's a traitor, he's a devil, he's a threat to the establishment. And when these plays were produced, Christianity was basically the establishment. It was part of the existing power structure. It is the kind of institution that Jesus was seen as such a threat to. So there's just something really weird about the fact that these plays are all about, oh, this guy, he's our hero, he was a threat to the establishment, and now he's the center of the establishment. It's just very strange to me.
Especially in the way that you do feel that Caiaphas and Annas do come across as, quite like the established church.
So much emphasis is put on the fact that the people in the religious authorities are the bad guys. They're even called bishops, which may be Jerome's translation of the word Pharisee. The episcopus might be in the Vulgate. I don't know, but so it doesn't occur to anybody in the audience that to make a connection between the establishment and the current establishment and the establishment of power in the stories. I guess not.
Helen.
Yeah, they made the connection loudly and often. They were not, because they didn't have our knowledge base, we tend to think of them as less intelligent. This is not so. They made every single bit of the connection that there was that we can make now and more.
And yeah, I mean, it's interesting. For example, all of the various things thrown at Catholicism later on by, the Protestant establishment, all of the things that people complain about starts off with, people within the Catholic Church saying, this is a bit odd, this is a bit off. We're not planning on undermining our religion at all, but we should just point out that we have noted that there is a slight contradiction here, and you sort of look at them going, it's a bit surprising that these people would be saying these things, especially as early as this. But no, some level of criticism occurs. It's just the degree and the context in which you place it depends on how much trouble you get into. Helen.
Yeah, I mean, you've only got to look at the invective against the Franciscan order by the church hierarchy to see that there was this enormous conflict within the medieval church about what Christianity was and what it should be. And the more that they read and the more that they studied the early church, the worse the conflict became.
Basically, what churches do is they schism, and the medieval mind kept that schism relatively under check for quite a long time until it all went horribly, horribly wrong. Sarah, I see a hand.
Yes, well, just following on from what Lynn was saying, and then you and Helen was saying, like Annas has that great speech once Christ has been condemned, where he basically puts on his civil servant hat and says, "Go on, make sure you execute him without any delay, because tomorrow it's the Sabbath, and we need the streets clean, and we need everything to look nice and tidy, and there shouldn't be any bodies left unburied." And that just that just struck me. Depending on how you played that would really have resonated with the populace in York, depending on the sort of bishop they had at the time, or the sort of clergy and the rules. I mean, that could absolutely have been played like as an imitation of a local priest of some description.
Doing things on the Sabbath, you look at the records to do with performance all the way through, medieval and onwards. You just have these constant people being done for having fun on the Sabbath or doing anything on the Sabbath. May only have been a slap on the wrist, but yeah, it's this idea that there's an authority figure who constantly turns up and says, right, no, this is what we have to do because this is the day, and parallels would probably have been there even more so than for us today. Anyway, we should do a few final thoughts. There aren't many of us. Lynn's already sort of got in one early. Alan, do you have any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting variant that I don't remember encountering before. And I think actually the way that this particular play ends, it does actually say etc. in the script. So presumably you could get, the soldiers 1 through 4 basically exit grumbling until they run out of lines or run out of inspiration.
Yes, I'm just checking. I've got no note as to what the etc. is supposed to denote, but yes, it is the most well known of the crucifixions available, possibly because it goes into so much detail.
Yeah, it's just I've only previously encountered, I think, the ones in Chester and Town.
Yeah. Elizabeth, do you have any final thoughts?
Yeah, one thing that kind of jumped out at me was that there was a lot of discussion about Jesus's robe and about the value of his robe, and then I know that there's this part of the gospel where the soldiers cast lots for Jesus's robe, and I was wondering if that part actually happened in the York plays we've done today, or if it was kind of skipped.
The casting of lots doesn't appear in York. I don't think it does. It may appear in later play. I could be wrong. I'm fairly certain it turns up in another pageant in a different cycle. It is a thing that is done, and I should be able to remember. I'm assuming it's probably in Townley, but I could be wrong. I will check in a moment. But yes, it does appear. It does appear. So it is it is done. But different cycles focus on different things. And for all we know, maybe York at some point did it and then decided to drop it because
we had a lot of detail in this text about the crucifixion itself.
Oh yeah, and a lot of the other ones on the crucifixion are much sparser. They just get on with it. Similar sort of game, as it were, but nowhere near as detailed. Eric, any final thoughts?
Yeah, it's just interesting that this kind of work, like previous ones that we've done, like End Town, that kind of thing. I mean, it was still gruesome and gory, but not to the degree of this one. And I can imagine that, like, because Sarah was like almost in Yorkshire mode with the fourth soldier. It kind of feels like, if you do it all in that tone, it just feels like very divorced from what's happening, which is very, very like jarring, which is even more I don't know, it makes it even more intense, I think. Yeah, and it's just interesting work.
Yeah. And yes, just to confirm, it is in Townley. The play of the dice is in the Townley cycle, which is to come in our exploration. So I say I don't think it turns up in the 2 we've already done, but I will double check that in a moment. Sarah, do you have any final thoughts you want to throw in?
Nothing that I haven't said already, really. I'm super impressed with the sophistication of the drama, the theatricality of it, the contrast between light and dark. Just I can imagine it's incredibly gripping when it's staged live. I'm trying to think. I'm sure I've been racking my brains, but my memory is so bad. I'm sure we did another play last year. Was it the one that was done by the nuns, where we had quite a lot of detail about the carpentry, and the kind of the logistics of how to like make this cross and get him up there and whatnot. And I remember finding that really, really gripping as well.
I think it may be the reverse. It may have been when they were burying him. I could.
Okay. Yes, when they were taking him down.
Hmm.
Yeah, that I was reminded by that. There seemed to be a parallel there, and it is just this kind of appalling and compelling contrast between the practicalities of it and then the reality of what's actually happening. I just think is, really amazing from a theatrical perspective, and also kind of something that would stay with the audience for a long, long time, which, I mean, obviously was the point of it. So, very, very fit for purpose, these plays.
Helen, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I found the whole play extremely unpleasant and upsetting. Having seen the York cycle done in modern times, I never remember it being that bad. And I think, but it may be that my mind just skipped over the nasty bits and waited for the last judgment, which is fun.
Last
down,
Judgment
you're going down.
is fun. Yes, okay. Right. Anything else? We have a minute left. Anyone additional thing they want to throw in? No. Well, that's it for York for the moment. We will be returning to complete the cycle in the future at some point coming. All that remains is to thank all the readers, visible and invisible, for their wonderful reading. Thank you very much, everyone, and goodbye.
Bye.
Let ding this dastard down.